It's time for the Tech Mobility Show with Ken Chester. Ken is a veteran journalist who doesn't always color between the lines. So, here he is, the host with the electrified personality, Ken Chester.
Real facts, real opinions, real talk. This is the Tech Mobility Show, your program for news, information, and perspective at the intersection of mobility and technology. I'm Ken Chester. A full docket awaits our attention, so let's get started. On the docket, my review of the Ford F-150 hybrid pickup truck, a surprising new leader at the top of the recent J.D. Power Quality Survey, and a question, how will GM's self-driving subsidiary move forward? To join the conversation, call or text the Tech Mobility Hotline, that number, 872-222-9793, or you can email the show directly, talk@techmobility.show. And that's talk@techmobility.show. Be sure to check us out on social media, our YouTube channel, or our two podcasts, Tech Mobility Podcast and Tech Mobility Topics. We're on pretty much every podcast platform, so you can find us readily wherever you enjoy podcasts. From the Tech Mobility News Desk, Toyota weighs a 4-day work week in a sweeping overhaul of office life. At first, I got real excited about this, and then I did a little reading. We've talked about on this show the efforts to go to a 4-day work week, and a test, particularly in Iceland, we talked about a few years back, which looked at a literal work 4 days but get paid for 5. So what they were looking at in that pure definition of a 4-day work week was a 32-hour week, 4 8-hour days, but you get paid for 5 days. Bear in mind that the 40-hour work week is something that is 84 years old. It was actually conceived and evolved in the 1940s. Things have changed a lot since then. What with the gig economy and people working from home, where we're at this point in society where we are redefining work, what it means, where we do it, and how it's being done. And in part due to technology, everything from broadband to AI has made work as we know it a place of constant change. And by no means are we anywhere close to what this is going to eventually look like. So enter Toyota. Toyota's plan is not as novel as it seems, but they are looking at making changes. And they want a shorter work week because it's part of wider reforms the company's undertaking meant to streamline the company's bureaucratic workflow for a more modern, more flexible era. Basically, they're looking at changing an environment. Their white-collar workers in Japan are known as salarymen. And if you think working in middle management in the United States is tough, long hours, many days, always on, never off. There's a high level of burnout in the ranks. Add to this Toyota's recent run at sales and profits. Toyota had quite a run in this last past year as the world's largest automaker. They dashed to record sales and production levels last year. Unfortunately, running so hot brought expected setbacks. Employees were overworked, suppliers were overstretched, and Toyota and its affiliates became tripped up in embarrassing quality problems. So they went to reassess. The goal is to roll these changes out over the next 10 years in tandem with Toyota's aspirational transformation into a mobility company. And already the company's made improvements to air conditioning, restrooms, and changing rooms at its facilities. Did you know that Toyota has a 50-year business plan? Not 5 years, not 5 months. I said 50. This is the kind of long-term planning they do. something else I want to point out, and I want to circle back around to this. First thing I should mention, right now with their plans, production workers at plants aren't expected to be covered, number one. Number two, this year, Toyota said it would tap its record profits and share the wealth with suppliers by willingly paying higher prices so strapped parts makers can improve working conditions and keep pace with production. Yes, I'm picking on Stellantis again. You betcha. Here is a company known for quality. I mean, it's a known fact. If you buy a Toyota, it is very rare that vehicle is going to fail you. It does happen every once in a while, but rarely. Not unusual for a Toyota to last 15, 20 years, 150, 200, 250, 300,000 miles. As a matter of fact, not as an exception. Needless to say, sales, marketing, yeah, there's something to be said. The company that is successful is sharing the wealth. That's my point. The company that is successful is taking a look at their overworked white-collar base and saying, you know what? We need to do something. We need to do something for our employees so we can sustain what we're doing. We're not going to crack the whip and make things worse. We're going to try to make things better. And we're taking a look at everything. I would not be surprised, honestly, with what Toyota's plans are over the next 10 to 15, 20 years if production workers aren't eventually included. And let me say that for a variety of reasons. Now, I said a few minutes ago, they're not in this current plan. But there's a couple of things that are brewing that is going to bring this to a head. Number one, automation. Building EVs make it easier to automate. There are fewer parts. It's a more consistent, fewer variables. High automation is going to add flexibility to the line and give them the ability to do these things. So a 4-day week for production workers, while it's not on the table right now, I expect that fully, at least at Toyota, to change. This is the same company we reported on earlier this year, that said their EV plans include a 600-mile range battery and a 1,000-mile range EV battery by the end of the decade. At the beginning of this decade, Toyota was talking about solid-state lithium-ion batteries, which were more stable than the traditional lithium-ion. Those are going into production on time in the next year or two. That's happening. Toyota has been criticized for moving slowly in the past on a variety of issues, everything from electric vehicles to making changes to the commitment to hydrogen, pretty much everything. However, you can't really fight with the formula that they're using because they're making money and selling vehicles. Let me add some more. That doesn't mean that Toyota is ignoring their production workers. At factories, for example, Toyota is tempering its cadence for long-term sustainable growth. Measures have already included the temporary suspension of plants in Japan to reassess. On the workload front, various actions, including a 4-day work week, are being considered to develop systems and mechanisms to improve the working environment, aimed to create a workplace where everyone can feel a sense of growth. That's why I say I believe in the years to come, Toyota will take that to the next level. Typically, what the company has always done is pilot new stuff at home in Japan and then roll it out to the rest of the world over time. I fully believe that they will do this. Now, one thing I left unsaid, and I need to come back around and magnify this point. I said at the top of this segment that the holy grail of the 4-day work week is 32 hours of work, 40 hours of pay. Toyota's not going that far. They're going to let you work 4 10-hour days. It's still 40 hours, but they're going to give you more flexibility in how that gets done. In the United States, to some degree, if you are not a blue-collar worker, you may already be experiencing some of that flexibility. Toyota is just getting in line with the rest of the world. Again, I fully expect within the next 10 years that this will be expanded to their assembly plants. Again, for a variety of reasons, with AI and automation leading the way and making it possible. So, do you see a link between treating your employees better and record profits, record sales, high quality vehicle that everybody wants to own? That is my point. You get there through enlisting people and encouraging people and leading people and taking care of your people and your suppliers and your employees and your both blue and white collar. Gasoline, electric, or hybrid, the Ford F-150 has it all. I review the hybrid next. You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the main place to be these days, and we are no exception. I'm Ken Chester, the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Facebook videos. From my latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary of a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Facebook. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. Be sure to subscribe to our Facebook page. Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. For those of you that listen to podcasts, we have just the one for you. Hi, I'm Ken Chester. Tech Mobility Topics is a podcast where I upload topic-specific videos each week. Shorter than the full show, these bite-sized programs are just the thing, particularly if you're interested in a particular topic covered on the weekly radio show. From Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and many podcast platforms in between, we got you covered. Just enter Tech Mobility Topics in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts.
Last year, this tough Ford 4x4 pickup clawed its way up this monster mountain of boulders. And here's the 84 Ford 4x4 about to climb the same mountain, but this time with a 3,500-pound competitor on its back. Ford has a 6.9-liter diesel, the most powerful diesel engine you can get in a pickup. Only Ford has independent front suspension. Ford is America's best-built, full-size pickup, based on a survey of owner-reported problems during the first 3 months. Yes, Ford always seems to end up at the top. The best-built American trucks are built. Ford tough.
The Ford F-Series pickup truck, long considered America's most popular for over 40 years, is more than a saying when the automaker boasts that the best never rests. If you're a regular listener, you know that I've covered the history of the F-Series pickup truck in great detail previously, so I'll not dwell on that for the start of this review. Instead, I will expand a bit on why Ford's current strategy of gasoline, hybrid, and electric powertrains makes sense in this current marketplace. The current generation of the Ford F-Series is number 14, introduced by the automaker for the 2021 model year. This is the first generation to include a fully electric and hybrid pickup truck among the offerings, with the F-150 Lightning EV having entered production in 2022. Sharing a strong visual resemblance to the previous generation, the 2021 F-150 underwent a redesign of 92% of its parts, carrying over only its cab, pickup box structure, and font design, including the tailgate script. New for this generation of F-150 is a gasoline-electric hybrid powertrain. Dubbed PowerBoost, the name being a blend of Power Stroke and EcoBoost, this powertrain is the first to be offered in a Ford pickup truck, pairing an electric motor with the V6 EcoBoost engine. The 14th generation of the F-150 is considered to be the first full-size true hybrid truck since GM's CVT-only Silverado Sierra 1500 hybrid was last offered in 2013. This review, however, is about the 2024 F-150 hybrid models only. Available only in Super Crew cab configurations and offered in 4 trim levels, the F-150 PowerBoost combines a 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 with a hybrid motor generator between the engine and transmission. A 1.5 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack is located under the cargo bed. The hybrid powertrain delivers a combined 430 horsepower and 550 foot-pounds of torque, which is more than either the 2.7-liter or 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 gasoline engines separately. Torque is communicated to all 4 wheels via 10-speed modular hybrid automatic transmission with an electronic locking rear differential. EPA fuel economy numbers are 22 city, 24 highway, a 20% improvement over the base 3.5-liter EcoBoost gasoline engine. Add to this a variety of drive models that range from towing to sport. Add to this a variety of drive modes, I'm talking about modes, that range from towing to sport that allow the motorist to optimize truck performance over a number of road conditions and situations. Payload capacity is 2,120 pounds. Towing capacity is a whopping 12,700 pounds. If you're keeping track, that's 6.5 tons. And finally, can you believe that the Ford Motor Company has published a 0 to 60 time for this truck? It's 5.4 seconds. On top of a driving range of approximately 600 miles. Let me get this straight. I got a truck that delivers pretty serious 0 to 60 times and will give me a range of 600 miles. This means I can drive from Des Moines to Chicago and most of the way back on one evolution, on one tank of gasoline. And oh, by the way, this is not a plug-in hybrid. Ford has also designed in an aggressive regeneration capability that can actually add driving range while you drive. And I think that is so incredibly cool. I've run across a few vehicles that do that. The Mazda CX-70, CX-90 plug-in hybrids do that too. I think it's awesome. The fact that you can set the regen, what they call regen, capabilities to use coasting and the kinetic energy of applying the brakes to actually recharge the batteries and add range while you drive. I think that's amazing. All the electrical power has also allowed Ford to have up to 7.2 kilowatts in the bed of the truck, far exceeding the capacity of a normal 120-volt receptacle. 2 120-volt, 20-amp household outlets are standard. You can also opt for an upgraded system with 4 120-volt, 20-amp household outlets and 1 240-volt, 40-amp NEMA L14-30R outlet. In other words, plenty of outlets for what you need or want to do far away from the electricity. Your truck becomes your power plant. How cool is that? Here's what I liked about the vehicle. Nothing beats a properly calibrated body-on-frame suspension setup. Full stop. The F-150 PowerBoost rides like a luxury car. And nowadays, most full-size trucks do. It's just amazing. But it's that body-on-frame from back in the day that isolates this and just makes it, you're just starting with a rock-solid platform. The drivers get the best of both worlds, luxury and performance. The cab is roomy, comfortable for 4 adults, 5 in a pinch. Nooks and crannies for storage are not a problem. And as you would expect in a full-size 4-wheel drive pickup truck, the outward view is elevated and outstanding. And the truck is responsive to driver inputs, whether you're steering for handling control or putting your foot to the floor. And I got to say this because I got to say this. Fog lights, dare I said it, and a head-up display. Got to love it. The F-150 hybrid is so equipped with both. Add hand grips for all 4 doors which facilitate entry and exit. Other features, as I found on the Platinum trim level that I drove, include a panoramic roof, power tailgate, and power running boards. And oh yeah, one more thing I've neglected to mention. When selecting the off-road drive mode, a new off-road specific screen is introduced, letting the driver even further customize or optimize, if you will, their driving experience given the conditions around them and in front of them. Again, very cool. Here's what I didn't like the vehicle, and it's a short list. I found that the hybrid powertrain needed more than a nudge when at rest to get underway, and it's not as smooth engagement as some that I've driven. And then, okay, my pet peeve, here you go. Undercarriage mounted full service spare tire. You know that you think with all this technology, they would figure out a better place to put the tire than the worst absolute place on the planet. But I'm just saying. And then finally, an odd. It takes a moment to actually shut off when the engine stop button is pushed. You might get the impression the vehicle is still running when it's not. So here's the bottom line. It's roomy, 600 miles of range, excellent outward view, and versatile. And did I mention fast? The Ford F-150 PowerBoost seemingly has it all. At a variety of price points, it makes it more likely than not that you'd be able to afford to park one in your garage. And there are so many more attributes of this truck that I have time to mention here. So be sure to visit your local dealer to experience one for yourself. The base manufacturer suggested retail price for the Ford F-150 PowerBoost pickup truck starts from $56,005 for the XLT up to $74,705 for the Platinum. Destination charges add almost $2,000. We talk about nameplates that topped a recent J.D. Power Initial Quality Survey. This is the Tech Mobility Show. Do you listen to podcasts? Seems that most people do. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. If you missed any of our weekly episodes on the radio, our podcast is a great way to listen. You can find the Tech Mobility Podcast just about anywhere you can enjoy podcasts. Be sure to follow us. From Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and many platforms in between, we are there. Just enter the Tech Mobility Podcast in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts. Social media. It's the place to be. We're no exception. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Several times a week, I post to TikTok several of the topics that I cover on my weekly radio show. It's another way to keep up on mobility, technology, news, and information. I've built quite a library of short videos for your viewing pleasure, so be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. That's the Tech Mobility Show on TikTok. Check it out. The domestic auto industry makes a big deal about the rankings in the annual J.D. Power Initial Quality Survey about the delivered quality of manufactured vehicles over the first 90 days of ownership. I'm conflicted. It's 2024. Don't you think that this should be a non-event by now? This is topic B. They've been doing this now for 38 years. And for the 2024 models, they based these results on responses from almost 100,000 people who bought or leased a new 2024 model, and they surveyed them after the first 90 days of ownership. Okay. All right. I got questions. This is not the first time that I have questioned the validity and the value of the initial quality survey with a motorist. Do I really care? Plunking my hard money down, if the quality of my vehicle after the first 90 days is kosher, is okay, is acceptable, is good? No. I want to know, is this vehicle 3 years out still okay? Is it okay 5 years out? Is it okay 7 years out? That's what I want to know. I want to get some feedback about if I'm fixing to spend anywhere near the average transaction price, which is almost $50,000 for a new vehicle. I don't care about 90 days, people. I care about 3 years out. I want to know if these systems are going to cost me money out of warranty. I want to know if I got a problem here. I want to know, can I get 100,000 miles relatively inexpensively, say for oil changes, tire rotation, maybe brakes, windshield wipers, and filters? But yet the industry makes a big deal I say all this because it's ironic who's at the top of this list, and I don't know what that says. At the top of the list is Ram truck. Now, why is that ironic? Sales of Ram trucks have been down for the last 4 or 5 years. The fact that Stellantis seems to be at war with everybody from their management to their unions to their suppliers. Yet this truck ranked number 1 90 days out. My question, what's this truck like 2 years out, 3 years out? What do the warranty expenses look like? What's likely to go wrong in this truck 3 years out? So I would love to hear how the 2021s are doing, because that would be indicative of what I can expect relative to quality. So let me ask you, before I even go a step further, because like I said, I'm conflicted. Does it matter to you, if you're in the market for a brand new vehicle right now, does it matter to you where a vehicle places on this survey, on the J.D. Power initial quality survey? Does it matter? To me, it doesn't. To me, I'm looking further out because that's where it matters. Because 90 days out is under warranty. So yes, it may be problematic, but it's under warranty. And in the short terms, if it's really bad, it would be covered under most lemon laws. So do I care? I don't know. I don't, to be honest with you. But let's look at the Automotive News article. Let's talk about this. Ram grabbed the top spot in the J.D. Power U.S. Initial Quality Study for the second time in 4 years. But here's a comparison. While Stellantis stablemate Dodge dropped to last place after leading the industry in 2023. And there are reasons for that. We'll get into it in a minute. What premium brands? You want to know who's number 1 in premium brands? To give you an idea if this study means anything? Porsche. Number 1 ranking among premium brands after being the runner-up to last year's Stellantis-owned Alfa Romeo, which fell to the bottom tier in 2024. I can tell you exactly why Alfa Romeo fell. One word, one model, and it's one we reviewed here, Tonale. The Alfa Romeo Tonale / Dodge Hornet knocked both Dodge and Alfa Romeo to the bottom of the list. And remember, I told you, if you were listening, when I did those reviews, I tried really hard to like both cars, and I couldn't. There's something to that. 'Tis. Number 2, second place, Chevrolet. Third place, Hyundai. Fourth place, Kia. Fifth place, Buick. What's missing? Toyota, Honda, Mazda. Now, here's where I got a problem. Typically, it's known and it's proven. And it's what I've been recommending to people for years. And I'm sorry, people, it just is a hard fact. If you're going to put on hard miles, relatively short time frame, and I'm talking about maybe 100,000 miles in less than 5 years, and you need a vehicle that's going to still be together at the end of 5 years and not cost you a fortune, it's a Toyota. Now, to their credit, Hyundais are durable, Kias are durable, so I'm not surprised they're at the top of the list, but why Toyota and Lexus aren't? That's a question. Because generally, they're bulletproof. So it makes you wonder, does this even matter? And then Buick. Yes, Buick's still in business. Buick rounds out the top 5. GMC and Cadillac fell out of the top 10, but I saw a survey recently where GMC got hammered relative to quality. And it kills me because depending on the vehicle that they make, either it's the same platform on a different nameplate or it's built by the same people. And I've always wondered about that. Ford's been having trouble because of the new vehicles they've introduced, and predominantly it's their electronics that's had the problem. Now, let me try to explain this to you here, how brands have fared. On average, owners reported an average of 195 problems per 100 vehicles, and that's basically literally a little bit more than one problem for every 100, just shy of 2. Ram had 149 problems for 100 vehicles, which is roughly a little more than one and a half-ish per 100. And Porsche had 172, again, closing in about 1 3/4 problems. That means, on average, out of every 100 vehicles off the line, there were, in a case of averages, there were 2 problems with it. What's a problem? What do they call a problem? What do they call a problem? They call a problem predominantly infotainment systems and electronics are what's making people crazy right now. Here's something for you EV haters out there. You can take this to your EV-loving friends. That data, well, let me back up. For the first time, J.D. Power said the study used repair visit data based on hundreds of thousands of real-world events reported to franchise new vehicle dealerships. The data showed electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids needed more repairs than gasoline-powered vehicles in all categories, and they were brought back to the dealership at a rate of 3 times higher. I want to let that sink in. And like I told you earlier, I told you why Dodge plunged. It plunged 2 reasons. One, they discontinued the long-running Challenger and Charger muscle cars that they've been building for years, and that left the brand with only the 3-row Durango and the new Hornet compact crossover. And it's new, and it has problems. And the Tonale, which is basically the Dodge Hornet. They are the same vehicle on different platforms, tweaked differently. And both of them got nailed. GM's self-driving subsidiary is back on the road. What now? We are the Tech Mobility Show. To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show. Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
Social media is the place to be these days, and we're no exception. I'm Ken Chester of the Tech Mobility Show. If you enjoy my program, then you will also enjoy my weekly Instagram videos. From the latest vehicle reviews to timely commentary on a variety of mobility and technology-related topics, these short features are designed to inform and delight you. Be sure to watch, like, and follow us on Instagram. You can find us by typing the Tech Mobility Show in the search bar. After a number of fits and starts during his checkered history with its autonomous vehicles in the wild on city streets, Cruise Automation is back evaluating autonomous vehicles on some of America's streets and roadways, although now equipped with human safety backups. Is this a step backwards? This is Topic C. We have not spent a lot of time in the past year talking about autonomous vehicles other than maybe a little bit about autonomous trucking. Passenger carrying, ride-hailing, autonomous vehicle industry still exists in America. You haven't heard a lot about it, and they very quietly have backed up from developing autonomous vehicles for private ownership. A lot of problems, a lot of challenges, and yeah, It's going to be maybe another 10 or 15 years. For me to be blunt, if ever. They may decide, short of some technological breakthrough, that it's just too hard with the tools that they have at their disposal and the many billions of dollars they have already spent in the last 10 years trying to make this happen. The model then is the model now. And the model now, if those that haven't pivoted to trucking have pivoted to what we call a robo-taxi model. And that is using a vehicle to transport people, plural, to destinations, which was always the goal when Uber was created back in 2009. That was their goal, to eventually get rid of the driver and go autonomous, because Uber's biggest expense is the driver. And they thought that over time, they would migrate to an autonomous driving model, which was their whole thing beyond their goals until that unfortunate incident in Arizona a few years back, which pretty much took Uber out of the development part of that business. Cruise Automotive, a subsidiary of General Motors, GM paid a lot of money to buy Cruise, is back on the road. What you might not have heard is why California took Cruise off the roads and revoked their permits. Let me tell you, this is a result of the company's attempts to reset following an October 2nd crash last year in San Francisco. The crash, which occurred with no human safety driver aboard the robotaxi, injured a pedestrian, idled the company's fleet for months and jeopardized its future. Here's what they did not disclose to the officials in California. The vehicle hit the person that had already been hit by a human-driven car. But here's what's worse. The thing stopped on top of them and dragged them when it started up. Cruise didn't happen to tell the regulatory officials about that. They found out about it. When they found out about it, in addition to some of the other things we reported on that Cruise automated vehicles were doing, they grounded the whole fleet. They should have been transparent. They were not. That cost them. So where are they on the road right now? Texas and Arizona. Why are they in Texas and Arizona? I'm glad you asked me that question, because the regulatory framework is a lot looser there. They're not required to report so much, and they can pretty much do what they want within limits. They're not required to file the reports that are required in California. So they are starting back in Texas, in Arizona, with human drivers. Here's my thought on that. I always believed, still do, that the human driver in an automated vehicle is of limited use. Here's why. If it encounters a problem at anything above 30 miles an hour, it's going to take the human a lot longer to process and react and take over if need be than the vehicle's computer systems would. And those nanoseconds mean everything. Computers are running in tenths of a second. Human beings are running in full seconds. And when something happens where the computer maybe decides that we can't rectify this, we don't know what to do, or it stops or it does something weird, the human has precious little time to react to whatever just happened, and may not always have the opportunity or the luxury to process what the next move is, as if it's going to be smarter than the computer. Now, in those cases where it just stops or it gets confused, yeah, a human driver can handle it. But in most of these cases, it's going to be at speed doing something. Not big speed. They're not going to be driving really fast. That's not happening. Not even in Texas and in Arizona, but still at speed. And 30 miles an hour is a lot faster than you think it is when you have to make a decision in real time. By comparison, 60 miles an hour is 88 feet a second. And at 60 miles an hour, you are covering the length of a football field in less than 3 seconds. So from the time you have to make a decision at that speed is nanoseconds. Even at 30 miles an hour, it's still faster than you think, particularly if something wrong is happening in real time. The problem I have right now with Cruise is that from a regulatory standpoint in Texas and Arizona, they're being left to their own devices to decide when, if ever, the human drivers are coming out of those vehicles. There is no third-party verification or peer review of their safety protocols, and it's not required. If they did this in California, it would be. Right now, where they're operating, it isn't. The point at which they take the safety harness off says more about the company's safety confidence and not as much about their safety competence, according to one pundit. And then he adds, and that's a scary thing. Why? Because companies, American companies, are in business to make a profit. They have investors, they have expenses, they have employees. And the need to break even and stem losses will trump every single time the need for the ultimate safety protocols. You have seen the horror stories over and over and over in American history for years. Pick your industry where it got to a situation where the company came up against its profit numbers, its expense numbers, and they needed to make a decision. I can give you a ton of examples in the auto industry where products were rushed to market that weren't ready. And the company ended up, for their haste, paying millions, if not billions of dollars afterwards to correct the problem. Which is why the safety industry looking at cruise automation going, you're telling us that when you feel you're ready, we're to trust you that you know that you've got all your safety protocols in place and you're not giving it a third-party review to just verify that, yeah, it is full and robust. It's like, trust us. We got this. I'm sorry. We don't trust you. And no, you don't have it. Until somebody else says you do, you don't. Because there's too many internal pressures for you to cut corners, and it will always be. This brings us to the end of our visit. Be sure to join me again next time right here. You have been listening to Tech Mobility Show.
The Tech Mobility Show is a copywritten production of Tech Mobility Productions, Incorporated. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other use is prohibited without the written consent of Tech Mobility Productions, Incorporated.
For those of you that listen to podcasts, we have just the one for you. Hi, I'm Ken Chester. Tech Mobility Topics is a podcast where I upload topic-specific videos each week. Shorter than the full show, these bite-sized programs are just the thing, particularly if you're interested in a particular topic covered on the weekly radio show. From Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and many podcast platforms in between, we got you covered. Just enter Tech Mobility Topics in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts. Social media. It's the place to be. We're no exception. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Several times a week, I post to TikTok several of the topics that I cover on my weekly radio show. It's another way to keep up on mobility, technology, news, and information. I've built quite a library of short videos for your viewing pleasure, so be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. That's the Tech Mobility Show on TikTok. Check it out. To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show. Do you listen to podcasts? Seems that most people do. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. If you missed any of our weekly episodes on the radio, our podcast is a great way to listen. You can find the Tech Mobility Podcast just about anywhere you can enjoy podcasts. Be sure to follow us. From Apple Podcasts to iHeartRadio and many platforms in between, we are there. Just enter the Tech Mobility Podcast in the search bar wherever you listen to podcasts.